Hello everyone, this is Alex Chu from Idec. In this tutorial, we will show you how to establish connection between Idec FC6A Plus PLC and Microsoft Azure. Previously, we have uploaded video tutorial showing how to establish connection and send data to other Mqtt brokers like Mqtt, AWS, and ThinkSpot. So similar to those, the step involved in today's tutorial will be more or less the same. Please take note one thing here. Communication driver to Azure is only available in FC6A Plus with firmware version 2.2 and above. We divide this tutorial into mainly two parts, with this video as the part 1, which covers communication between FC6A Plus and IoT Hub without going through the device provisioning service. And the next video, we will cover part 2 of the tutorial, which shows sending data from FC6A Plus PLC to IoT Hub through device provisioning service, and then displays those data through IoT Central application, which is an application that able to show some dashboard like this. So we will explain what is device provisioning service and its advantage during the part 2 of video tutorial. Let's move into part 1 first. The steps involved here might sound familiar to you guys, that always involve configuration at a cloud service first, and then followed by the configuration in WinLDR, which is the programming software of the FC6A Plus. So let's start with the configuration in Microsoft Azure first. So first step is to create the resource group. Okay, let me open up Microsoft Azure homepage, which looks something like this. And first of all, let us create the resource group over here, resource group, and then press create button. All right, so let's give a resource group name. Okay, let me give a name. For example, let us call it FC6A test. Okay, make sure that subscription, you select the correct subscription. All right, resource detail region. Right now I'm located in Southeast Asia. Let me select Southeast Asia and then press review create validation pass. All right, and then let me press create again. Then that's all. Let us go back to the home page to create an IoT Hub. Alright, to create an IoT Hub is also a very straightforward thing to do. Just come into the IoT Hub, right, create, and then make sure the right subscription has been selected. Choose the resource group that we have just created just now. Give a IoT Hub name. So for my case, FC6A IoT Hub test, let's say. And region, okay, for my case, Southeast Asia. Right. Okay. Tier, okay, you can choose a free, basic, standard, depends. Okay, if once all the setting has been done, review, create. Okay. Okay, deployment is in progress. This will take a while. Okay, let us wait for the IoT Hub to be created. Well, it looks like our IoT Hub has been successfully created. Let us go to resource, okay, to do the last thing in this Microsoft Azure, which is to register our FC6A Plus to send data to IoT Hub. Right. To register for a device, we need to click on these devices and then add device. Okay, give a device ID. So I just give a name to my FC6A Plus PLC, for example, FC6A device number 1, right? And make sure this symmetry key is selected, auto-generated key checkbox is checked. Same goes to this connect this device to an IoT hub enabled, right? Make sure these three settings are selected correctly and click save. So once this device has been registered, go into this device and copy down this primary connection string. Copy it down because later on we will be using this string in our WinLDR setting. Well, it looks like we have completed the first 3 steps, which is we have created the resource group in Microsoft Azure. We have created an IoT hub, as well as we have registered a device, our FC6A Plus, in the IoT hub. So next, let us proceed to the step number 4 and number 5, which is doing some setting in the WinLDR software and do a connection check. Alright, this is my WinLDR software. So right now I'm using an FC6A Plus PLC with 16 IO, FC6A-D16. Okay, as you guys know, the MQTT setting of FC6A Plus is located in Ethernet port number 1. So let us straight away go to Ethernet port number 1 setting. Alright, so if you guys prefer to use DHCP, the IP address setting, you can always choose this DHCP. Alright, so for my case, I prefer to use a manual key in IP address. So I would like to use the 192.168.0.6. And then for the default gateway, since my PLC Ethernet port number 1 is connected to an internet router with LAN port IP address 192.168.0.1, so I will just key in accordingly. Okay, so the DNS setting, I would just use Google DNS 8.8.4.4. Okay, that's all for the IP setting as well as DNS settings. So we just scroll all the way down to the MQTT setting. First of all, enable MQTT. So under cloud service name here, I believe you guys can remember just general purpose, which we use to establish communication with Thingsboard as well as Mosquito. And AWS IoT Core during our tutorial to set up FC6A Plus communicating with AWS, we use this. And now we are going to use Azure IoT Hub because we want to communicate with Microsoft Azure IoT Hub. Alright, and under this MQTT connection method, okay, for part 1 of this tutorial, we will connect directly to Azure IoT Hub. And in part 2, we will be using this, connect to Azure IoT Hub via DPS. Okay, alright. Scroll down, connection settings. So this is where we should paste the primary connection string that we copy from the devices that we created in IoT Hub just now. Okay, paste it here, and this window will automatically extract the host name, the device ID. From the connection string. Okay, and the last thing to do is to set the memory address responsible for the connection control as well as connection status. So for the memory address to control the connection, we use M0, while connection status we use D0. Okay, let's come to this tag editor for us to insert the command to the memory address, so that later on in the monitoring window we know we are monitoring the right memory address. M0 just now we use it as connection control, whereas D0 we use it as connection status. Alright, okay, that's all, and let's download this program settings, as well as make sure the PLC is loaded with the latest version of firmware. Okay, let me check this checkbox before I download the program. Okay, this will take a while. Okay, let us wait for the settings, firmware, and program to be downloaded successfully. It looks like the firmware as well as the program has been successfully downloaded into our FC6A Plus PLC. Alright, so let us do a quick monitoring to establish connection between FC6A Plus PLC and Microsoft Azure IoT Hub. M0 is the memory we use to establish connection, and D0 is the memory we use to monitor the connection status. Let us turn on this M0. In case the connection can be established successfully, we should get a value 4 in D0. Okay, right, it looks like our PLC right now is communicating with Microsoft Azure IoT Hub. Alright, let us save this monitoring table. Okay, test 1, give a name, so that we can reuse this table later in the test later on. Okay, so it's under here. Alright, so it looks like we have completed step number 4 and number 5. Okay, we have successfully established connection between FC6A Plus and IoT Hub. Okay, and next let us proceed with step number 6 and number 7, which is to include the setting in WinLDR to enable data publishing from FC6A Plus to IoT Hub. Okay, and then do a publish test. Alright, so how to do this? Let us come back to this WinLDR again. Again, go into the Ethernet port number 1. Scroll down to MQTT setting. Just now we have done this MQTT setting. Now let us proceed with the publish setting. Okay. To publish data, okay, to IoT Hub, the topic name in Microsoft Azure IoT Hub is actually predefined. So it is not like previously what we have done in AWS or Mqtt. We can use the topic name structure that we like. Okay, so for Azure IoT Hub, we have to follow the predefined structure of the topic. So this is how it looks like actually. Okay, so first of all, we start with devices, and then followed by device ID, okay, and followed by again messages / events, okay, /. So we must configure in this way, all right, so that the data can be successfully published to the devices in the IoT Hub. Okay, that's all. And then for the payload wise, okay, let us give a new value. We use temperature, for example, so that later on we can see this temperature data published into the IoT Hub. Okay, let us the temperature data to be stored in D100 of the PLC, for example. Okay, and publish control, let us use M10, and publish status, let us use D10. Okay, for example. All right, and then press OK. Press OK. Let's come to this text editor again. This D10 just now is publish status, and then the M10 is publish control. Okay, the D100 is actually the temperature data that we want to publish. Okay, that's all. Right, so let us again download this program setting into the PLC. We don't need to check this checkbox again because the PLC we use right now is already loaded with the latest version of firmware, so the download will be quick. Alright, so let us use back the monitoring table that we have saved just now, but this time round let us include publish control as well as the publish status and the temperature data that we want to publish. Okay, so first of all, let us establish the connection first. Once it showed 4, means PLC right now is connecting to Microsoft Azure IoT Hub. And let us give a room temperature data 25, for example, okay, to this D100. And before I turn on this publish control, let me also open up the monitoring window in Microsoft Azure to show you guys this temperature 25 has been successfully published into Microsoft Azure IoT Hub. Alright, I've put these two windows side by side. Microsoft Azure device window, I've put it at the left hand side, and my WinLDR as well as the monitoring window, I've put it at the right hand side, so that we all can see the data published into the IoT Hub successfully. Okay, so how to monitor the data published from my PLC? We can actually use this terminal available in Microsoft Azure. Okay, so yep, we need to key in this command, right? Idec IoT Hub monitor -events -n followed by the name of IoT Hub, which is FC6A IoT Hub .test. Okay, this is the one actually. And then -d, the device ID. So what is our device ID? FC6A device 1. Okay, so by keying in this command in this way, this terminal will help us to keep monitoring the data coming from the PLC. Okay, right, so let us try to publish this number, this data 25, temperature 25, okay, to Microsoft Azure. Oops, it looks like there is a typo error here. Okay, let us stop monitoring this by pressing Ctrl C, and again we repeat the command Idec IoT Hub monitor events -n FC6A IoT Hub test -d FC6A device 1. Okay, then we try to publish this data again. Alright, you see the data has been successfully published from FC6A Plus to Microsoft Azure. Let us change the temperature value again and try to publish again. Okay, alright, that's all. Okay, so this is how we can configure our FC6A Plus PLC to publish data to Microsoft Azure IoT Hub. So next we will proceed to step number 8 and number 9, okay, to see how we can configure our PLC to subscribe data from Microsoft Azure IoT Hub. Alright, let us come back to our WinLDR. Okay, save this. Okay, so let us do some setting here to enable data subscribe. Okay, again, the data subscribe is setting is under Ethernet port number 1. Let us come back to the same MQTT setting again, but this time round is under subscribe. So similar to publish, we cannot use any topic structure for the subscribe. So we have to stick to a predefined structure in order to subscribe data from Microsoft Azure. So we have to stick to certain predefined topic structure. Okay, so how does it look like? So similarly, we can configure in this way. Okay, so start with fixed value devices. Okay, and then followed by device ID. So pretty similar to the topic structure of publish. And then followed by a fixed value, but this time round is messages slash device bound slash hash. Then let us double check again. Devices, device ID, messages slash device bound slash hash. Yes, so this is the topic structure to subscribe data from Microsoft Azure IoT Hub. Okay, so in terms of payload, let us add a new value. So we call this pressure maybe. But if we name it pressure over here, when we want to send data from Microsoft Azure, we have to ensure that this pressure is also included when we send the data. I will show you guys later on in Microsoft Azure. So data coming from Microsoft Azure, let me save it in D200, for example. Okay, and then subscribe control, we use M20. Subscribe status, we use D20, for example. Okay, so this is the simple setting. Press OK, press OK. And again, let us give the command to the memory address we use. So this is subscribe status. And then D200 is pressure data. Yeah. For example, and then M20 is subscribe control. Okay, that's all. Right, let us download this new additional setting into the PLC to do the test. Okay, done. Right, let us open up this monitoring table. Okay, M20. Okay, it's a bit memory. This should be a bit memory as well. Okay, and then D20 subscribe status, D200 where the pressure data from Microsoft Azure shall be stored. Okay, let us save, place, and let me put the Microsoft Azure window and WinLDR side by side so that you guys can see the data transfer clearly. Okay, so I have put both windows side by side. Okay, so to send data from Microsoft Azure IoT Hub to our FC6A Plus PLC, we can actually use these tools, message to device. Okay, and then make sure that you write this syntax. Okay, if you remember just now we used pressure, so we have to ensure that we write it correctly into here so that the value can reach us successfully. So for example, the pressure is 100. Okay, so let us send the message, and before that, okay, let me establish the connection between PLC and Microsoft Azure, and then okay, subscribe control, okay, always on, and let me send this data 100, pressure 100. Okay, so you can see that the PLC is able to subscribe this topic and receive the data 100. Okay, let me change the data again. 1, 2, 3. Right, that's all. It's pretty simple to set up both publish data from FC6A Plus PLC to Microsoft Azure, as well as subscribing data from Microsoft Azure IoT Core to FC6A Plus PLC. Next, so in part 2 of this tutorial, which will be another video, we will show you guys how to establish communication, how to send data from FC6A Plus PLC to Microsoft Azure IoT Hub through the DPS. Okay, so please follow us on YouTube, and thank you for your time to watch this video. Thank you very much.